Well, today's episode, as you know, we continue on with more of WrestleMania with Night 2, where we feature, of course, the Hell in a Cell match with Finn Balor versus Edge. We got the Raw Women's Championship on the line, the Intercontinental Championship. We cannot forget our main event, the WWE Undisputed Championship between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. Will Cody be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns? We'll find out. But first things first, we got, of course, across the Pacific, we got the latest ChocoPro show 303. On a note here, keep in mind, Balanaki and Meishuruga are not involved in this. As you know, they're here in the States. Don't know when they'll be heading back. But we also got, of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling with the Road of Sakura Genesis. We're heading to Sakura Genesis on April 8th, where we witness, of course, the IWGP World Heavyweight title on the line on that particular day when Sanada, the winner of the New Japan Cups, will go toe-to-toe against Okada. So I can't wait to see what other matches will be taking place. But however, in the main event for this particular day in Korakuen Hall, the KOPW Championship will be on the line in a triad chance match. A match that was stipulated by none other than Aaron Henare of the United Empire. Will he be the one to dethrone Shingo Takagi? Well, we'll find out about that. And we also got a couple of news updates to tell about what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. And I think that's about it. So, let's get started with another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, let's begin with ChocoPro 303. As I said before, Meishuruga and Balanaki are not involved in this particular day. As you know, they are here in the States. So our opening match features tag team action. We got Sayaka Obihiro teaming with her fellow Uma Army mate, Kojio. They take on Shin Suzuki and Chon Shido. Now, this match was pretty good because, as you know, I've seen Shin Suzuki team up recently more with Chon Shido because we know he's been with various partners over time, but teaming with Chon must have helped them a lot. But I thought that this match was going to go definitely with Koji, since he is he's part of the Uma Army. But however, it was Shon Chidu who picked up the win when he applied a jumping leg drop onto Sayaka Obihiro to pick up the win. 1, 2, 3. Next up, we got Sayaka versus Masahiro Takanashi. The last time these two actually faced each other was in a tag match in I don't remember, was it day 1 of 300, where she and Chi challenged for the tag titles, but failed successfully. But I've often talked about how Sayaka has grown up a lot. She has a few successful missions. I mean, she has won tag team matches, even singles matches. But with Masa, that's a different story. Masa's a very crafty wrestler. He likes to be a bit more slick, try to find ways to ensure the match goes his way. But apparently it did when he applied a submission onto Sayaka, forcing her to tap out. Our next match, we have Mochi Natsumi teaming up with Ryuichi Sekigi, who recently came back to pro wrestling after an injury put him on the sideline for a couple years now. But now he's back. They take on the reunited Egg Tarts, Chiko Shikawa and Hagane Shino, who is now our current Super Asia champion. If you guys remember clearly, he defeated Balin Aki in the main event at day 2 of 300. I think she was very happy to see that her friend and tag partner was able to pick up this particular title. And I think it was a lot of fun to see these two teams, uh, how do I say, continue on, because I know they have challenged for the tag titles before during the Best Bros reign, but I wish they could reunite one last time or do another tag team run and obtain those tag titles, which is something I'm sure it would help Chi, and hopefully she can go back with Sayaka and do that at some other point. But the match was pretty great. I enjoyed what they did. The teamwork between Ektarts and Chi and Hagine was amazing. But it was their teamwork that were able to put away Mochi Natsumi in a pinfall, while they were able to separate Sakin in the outside of the window. 1, 2, 3, it was over, just like that. Now for our Jonkin tournament, I would have assumed in this one, because Sayaka seems like she was able to pass the few first rounds. It did not. She did not last long until she got to the finals. But who was it? Sayaka Hobihiro got eliminated. So did what's his name? Oh yeah, what's her name? Tokiko Kihara was there too, but she wasn't participating in any matches, just in this. But it was great. But it was, of course, Sayaka lost to what's his name? To Masahiro Takanashi, which was a huge disappointing loss. But nonetheless, it was very close. And I think that's pretty much it. I'm not sure when ChocoPro will do another show. Hopefully this coming Saturday, but we'll see what happens then. Right now, let's move on with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling. We begin with Road to Sakura Genesis. As you know, Sakura Genesis will be on April 8th. I'm so excited for that particular show. Of course, we have the IWGP World Heavyweight title on the line. We got the tag titles on the line, including the IWGP Women's Championship. And I'm trying to remember what other titles will be on the line as well. But I'm so excited. But let's get started. Before that, our opening match, we have the Young Lions, Oscar Lobe, teaming with Yuto Nakashima, taking on the Great Bash heel, Tomoaki Hamna, or as Kevin K like to say, oh, look, it's Hamna. And of course, Togi Makabe. I have to say this match was pretty good, because it showed how the Young Lions were able to try to use the Boston Crab as a way to put their wins. But however, you can't beat the veterans regardless of their age. They were able to try to put them away, but it was, of course, Togi Makabe with the King Kong knee drop onto Oscar Lobe to pick up the win. Next up, we got the members of the Bullet Club, Geto, who else? Taiji Shimori and El Phantasmo. Now, keep in mind, Phantasmo still having his issues towards David Finlay about him being the newest member. I still owe people to do the DW's discussion about Bullet Club, about the recent developments with them when it comes to them. But we'll see. We'll get to that. But their opponents is none other than the members of LIJ, Bushi, Hiromu Takahashi, and Tetsuya Naito. I thought this match was pretty interesting, not because it's LIJ and Bullet Club, was because you have to understand there was no storyline built up to this. However, I feel like the story is now being built up upon, Phantasmo, who's having his issues towards the situation with David Finlay being the newest member, but at the same time, the whole thing with David Finlay attacking Jay White. But nonetheless, in this particular match, it was Bushi who applied the MX onto Geto to pick up the win. But I don't know how this will be playing out. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something very different that comes up out of this with the Bullet Club. So we'll see what happens then. Next up, we have all members of the House of Torture. Dick Togo wearing the Desperado mask that he stole from Sho, Yujiro Takahashi, and Evil, taking on Rohit Oiwa and the members of Strong Style, Despi, Minoru Suzuki, and Ren Narita. However, this rivalry between all of them has escalated very, very high. Now, keep in mind, it was Strong Style who defeated the House of Torture, because the House of Torture refused to lose its belts and refused to defend them regardless. So they've been demanding for these belts to be defended. I'm sure that will happen soon. But this match went into a double countout, basically. But they continue to beat the crap out of each other. And you know for a fact Strong Style is not going to let these punks try to dictate them. Not to mention, Evil hates Strong Style, and he hates the philosophy that Antonio Inoki has left behind. And he will stop at nothing to obliterate it once and for all. Next up, we got the United Empire, consistent of Great Khan with Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher, and Mark Davis. They take on the members of Chaos, consistent of Toru Yano and, of course, our current IWGP Tag Champions, Bushimon, Yoshihashi, and Hiroki Goto. This is a bit of a preview to what's to come until we get to Sakura Genesis on the 8th. It was a pretty good match. However, there was some good moments where you thought that, okay, Chaos would have had the advantage on this one. But no, it was, of course, the Coriolis that put away Toru Yano and sending a statement by Aussie Open saying that the results will be in their favor, that they will be the ones to walk out as the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. Now, our next match, we have Bolton Oleg. He's a new guy. I'm sure he's that German dude. I'm not sure. We have Rusuke Taguchi and Shota Umino. They take on the members of TMDK with Kosta Fuji and Zack Sabre Jr. And of course the debut as a member of TMDK, Robbie Eagles, who we haven't seen for quite some time. I have to say the match was pretty good in some capacity. I wasn't too sure how this was going to play out, but I'm sure there was going to be some technical aspects in this match. But it was, of course, Zack Sabre Jr. on Oleg's armbar that put him away, that forced him to tap out, giving them the win. But this thing between Shota Umino and Zack Sabre Jr. will continue on. Remember, he will be facing him for the IWGP World Television title. Now, interesting news has developed. They get a video message from none other than Kevin Knight and Kushida, who now they're calling themselves the Jet Setters. They're now issuing a challenge to the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. We're talking about members of the United Empire, TJP and Francesco Cara. They accepted the challenge, but once again, TJP acts like he thinks he's a crystal ball or something that predicts the future. He thinks that this is not going to go in their favor. But we'll see what happens then. Our next match, we have all 5 members of Just 5 Guys, consistent of Taka Michinoku, Doiki, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Taichi, and Sonata. I have to say, what an entrance. I think this is my new favorite faction in New Japan. I mean, they're really changing the game in their own perspective, showing them they're going to try something new, something different. They come out in the back of the audience. I would like to see how this will play out when they're in a much bigger audience, because it would be fun to see. And they even have a theme song. I think it was pretty good. Their opponents is none other than who they have. They got Master Wato, Tiger Mask, and of course Okada with his Chaos mates Yo and Ishii. You know for a fact that Sonata would definitely want to send a direct message to Okada, since he is the man who's going to challenge him for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. I think that's going to be a good message. But however, I was surprised in this particular match that how it ended with Kanemaru applying the moonsault, which normally we see Sonata do. He applied it and he put away a Tiger Mask. But the message is now being clear. Apparently, Just 5 Guys are definitely sending a message and they're finding success. And I think this is something that we're going to see. So we got to wait until we get to Sakura Genesis when we see Sonata versus Okada. Now our main event is the KOPW title in a what was it again? An ultimate triad match. Basically, it's kind of like fight, like MMA fighting or Muay Thai, that sort of thing. We know Shingo has been in the toughest competition ever, and Nara has been spending months telling the entire world that this is his time, that this is what his right. I have to say, Shingo did everything in his power to divert the fact that he knows he could lose if he ends up in a full Nelson lock, but did not. But it ended with, of course, Hinare passing down into the floor once they reached the 10 count. It was over. It allowed him to retain the title, but he looks like he's been through hell. So we'll see what happens next. For Shingo. I'm sure right now that he is trying to figure out how to bounce back after Sonata made the choice to quit LIJ to move on to now with what it is, just 5 guys. But we'll see what happens there. So let's move on to our final review, WrestleMania 39, Night 2. Okay, our last review, we have WWE WrestleMania 39 with Night 2. Opened up with Omos with MVP taking on Brock Lesnar. Now, you probably saw exactly. This match seems like it was in the favor of Omos, who was taking control of the match in his favor. You probably would have thought, okay, Brock Lesnar hasn't solved the puzzle to put away Omos from what Corey Graves and Michael Cole were talking about, which is true. When you know you're dealing with an adversary, it tells us, okay, how is Brock going to overcome it? Well, somehow he was able to do it and then applied an F5 on Omos. I'm like, whoa, that is nuts. But he picked up the big man and put him away. 1, 2, 3. The Beast reigned supreme. Next up, we got a 4-way women's tag team match. Team number 1, we have Raquel Rodriguez teaming with Liv Morgan versus Shotzi and Natalia versus Chelsea Green versus Sonya Deville versus Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey. Now, Corey Graves made a very excellent point about this particular match. I think this match can play out a perfect role. Who will be the next challengers for the WWE women's tag team titles, which are currently being held by Lita and Becky Lynch. And I think that's going to be more okay, who's going to step up to challenge them. I think that tells us all. But it was, of course, in this one with Ronda Rousey with an armbar onto Shotzi, forcing her to tap out. So if that's the case, if we do see Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler challenge for these tag titles, then we're going to be interesting to see that. Our next match, we always see a masterpiece when it comes to Gunther, with the WWE Intercontinental title, but this time he has to face 2 men at the same time, Drew McIntyre and, of course, Sheamus. Now, keep in mind, the Clash at the Castle was a masterpiece that took place with Sheamus. Now we're going to see another masterpiece being made. Basically, it was more, he has to face against 2 men. So basically, he put himself in this position when he had his Imperium goofballs, making sure that none of them make it through. But Adam Pearce made it clear that he's going to put them both together. And I thought it was a pretty good match. A lot of chops, a lot of things. The chops they hurt as hell. You can hear the noise when they hit you on the skin. But it was, of course, Gunther once again reigning his supremacy, making the match sacred when he put away Drew McIntyre with the power bomb, and 1, 2, 3. It was over right there. Next up, we got the WWE Raw Women's Championship. We got the challenger, Asuka, taking on Bianca Belair. Man, this match was pretty good. I think it was really, really fun and interesting. I mean, I've been a fan of Asuka since she first burst into the scene. And of course, taking this crazy persona is one of those things that I do like. But you probably would have assumed that that this match was going to be more exciting. It kind of did. But it was a KOD by Bianca Belair that allowed her to retain the title. I thought it was pretty fun, but I enjoyed every moment of it. Now, we do see The Miz and Snoop Dogg doing their little hosting, but however, Miz was a little pissed off about the night before. As you know, he ended up being in the match with Pat McAfee, eventually losing. But however, of course, Snoop Dogg called in. We were visited by Shane O'Mac, who just made his return. Later turned into a match between both Miz and Shane, but Shane injured himself. The match kind of went off, and of course, Snoop Dogg put himself in a match with Miz, and he did the People's Elbow, and I thought it was classic. I mean, who wouldn't do the People's Elbow, on a time like this? But it was great. Next up, we got the Hell in a Cell. We got Edge, who was the former leader of Judgment Day, taking on the current leader and his creation, Finn Balor. So he asked him to bring back the Demon King, who we haven't seen for quite some time, and I thought it was very, very impressive. I mean, they really tore each other apart, not to mention going through the steel, going through every toy they can find underneath the ring. We're talking about chairs, tables, whatever's underneath there. But there was a moment where Balor was already high enough to do the coup de grace, but Edge moved out of the way at the last second. But it was, of course, the concerto by Edge onto Finn Balor when he whacked him with the two chairs, giving him the win. So finally he picked up this win, hopefully ending his little feud with Judgment Day. Next up, we got our main event, the WWE Undisputed Championship. Cody Rhodes making his first WrestleMania main event, taking on Roman Reigns. I thought this match was also amazing. It was another masterpiece. But the one thing I did not like is the ending, and I know we're going to talk about that a lot. You probably thought that, Cody's going to... It tells like the story how Cody refuses to stay down regardless of what Roman Reigns throws him, if it's either the Superman punch or the spear. But of course, we did expect that the Bloodline were going to show up. But luckily, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens showed up at the moment that they expected. We expected them to help Cody. But when we thought that things were going to go exactly the Cody Rhodes way, Paul Heyman decided to distract the referee, giving time for Solo Sikoa to Samoan Spike Cody, and then of course Roman Reigns, speared Cody to retain the title. Now let's talk about this right now with the ending. I know there's a lot of mixed reactions towards this one. Now, a lot of fans saying that this was a total piece of horseshit, like they don't like the idea. I mean, I do agree that, are we really tired of seeing Roman Reigns being longest champion? I mean, can't we just see someone else? I mean, that's something that we want to see, but no. And I think people are now saying, oh, you have Vince back as the board of the members. You're allowing him to make pitch. If that was the case, then yes. There's those that are even saying that maybe this is payback for what happened when he started AEW, And that, if you guys remember, Cody actually wrecked that little throne from Triple H replica, but I don't know if that's the case. Some people say that maybe the reason that Roman Reigns remained as champion was because they want him to reach the peak where he's reached 1,000 days. I mean, look, I get it's a big deal, but does it really is a big deal? I mean, for someone to hold the title for that long, I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit like the storyline with, with Momo Watanabe, who was tired of hearing Saya Kamitani, who made like the whole defense record, like it's important, but Momo treats it, no, it's not important to me. I'm trying to get to the red belt, and I feel like, do we really think that's important? I mean, I don't know. I just feel, and not to mention Amanda Hubbard, John Hubbard's widow, she thought it was she thought the same thing as many fans thought, that it was the wrong call, all this and that. And some people are already speculating that maybe the chance Cody can dethrone Roman Reigns will be in SummerSlam. Others saying no, it has to be someone else. I'm like, I mean, look, we don't know. I mean, I'm sick and tired of seeing Roman Reigns as champions. This is why I stopped watching Raw and SmackDown, because if they don't want to give us what we want, then it proves that, this is not what I are in it for, But we'll see what happens. If they're going to continue with the same old thing, and if Vince is still back, I'm done with it. That's the thing. So I think that's pretty much it with the whole WrestleMania thing. Let's move on with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. Now, if you remember clearly about the situation that took place this past Friday revolving Giselle Shaw, as you know, Giselle Shaw was bullied when Rick Steiner said transphobic comments about Giselle Shaw, due to the fact that Giselle Shaw is transgender. The wrestling community stood by her, except for the old timers who ignored it. But however, WrestleCon decided they want to make this a better environment. They later announced that Rick Steiner is now officially banned from ever attending WrestleCon. Now, this is something that you didn't expect. I'm sure that many fans who are supportive of Giselle Shaw are happy that something is being done. Now, some people are even questioning, would this affect Braun Breaker? I mean, it could, but hopefully, if Rick Steiner has any dignity, he should tell the fans, I'm sorry, but this is what I did. That this has nothing to do with my son. So hopefully that can be resolved. If you guys remember, along a while back, I did talk about All Japan Pro Wrestling's Suwama and Shijo Ishikawa actually started like a women's wrestling project called Evolution. They just recently had their first show on March 31st. Very successful, but they only had 3 matches involved because each of the girls had their respected matches. But all of them lost, which was expected. Um, Sunny, one of the girls, lost to Miyuki Takase. Zones lost to Rina Yamashita. And then, of course, there's Chi Chi. She lost to you. But they're saying it was a good, successful show. Can't wait to hear more. And hopefully, I get to see it live. But that's pretty much what we have for that. But also, let's move on. As you know, Gambari Yoshi had their first show, Ganjo Restart. This was something that was already been talked about, having a Gambari Yoshi brand, now led by Yuna Manase. However, the main event features YuuRi versus Yoshiko Hasegawa. I have to say that main event was pretty good because it was those two who convinced Kenoka to, how do I say, to let this thing go on, even if Yuna Manase is out of action. And I think that was a perfect match. Did not see the whole thing, but I am fully aware that YuuRi won. However, at the end of the match, YuuRi received a surprise visit from her past, and that is, of course, Tomoka Inaba, the current GTO Girls Champion. The reason Tomoka came is because apparently there was, if you guys remember, YuuRi was originally trained in Just Tap Out, along with Tomoka. However, Tomoka is now seeing how much YuuRi has grown up, how much has she's changed, because when she was still in Just Tap Out, she was on a losing streak. So basically it kind of went downhill for her. So that was going into that. But I'm going to presume because of her presence, I wouldn't be surprised if Tomoka Inaba issued a challenge towards her. But I'm not sure if it has anything to do with the GTO title that she has. But we'll see about that. Now, this one I had to save it for last. If you guys remember, about a year ago, we were already speculating the arrival of Kairi. Now, as you remember the storyline straight, Saya Kamitani was the one who kept the worst secret ever. She had the audacity to tell Momo Kogo, and Momo was telling people that, she was coming. But at the end of this whole storyline, with Kairi already making her presence known, Kamitani showed up in this one place to apologize to Kairi. She didn't mean to tell people, but however, when Kairi showed up behind her, there was another mysterious woman who was there. We never knew who that was. However, this was tweeted today by none other than Kamitani. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I did report it that during a Stardom event, at the end of the main event, Kairi introduced the friend that she was talking about. The friend that she was talking about, I mentioned, was Saori Anou. So she is going to be involving with Natsupoi and Kairi in it for the artist belts. However, Kamitani tweeted this. She said she recognized her from a year ago. So what does that mean? Are we being told that this thing with Saori Anou was already been planned over a year ago? I'm like, whoa, that is interesting because we never did know who that woman was. And I thought it wasn't just a big deal. But if Kamitani is saying that the woman she saw when she thought it was Kairi was actually Saori Anou sitting there. But the real question is, what was she doing there? Was there any plans for her to come to Stardom? I don't know. Hopefully that was the case. But it would make sense that Kairi would bring her in because maybe they met each other before. But I don't know. It's kind of interesting how now it's being told Kamitani recognized Saori Anou. I wouldn't be surprised if she would challenge her, But there were many people who are now questioning. We never seen Saori Anou challenge for the red belt or the white belt before when she was in her 2-year tenure with Stardom. Well, we don't know yet, but we'll see what happens then. But right now, let's focus on her challenging for the artist belt along with Kairi and Natsupoi. I think that's pretty much it. So, we'll end it. We'll just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we know we got AEW Dark Elevation. However, I haven't seen the latest GCW events for the collective. I will get to those as soon as possible. I'm going to try to put them in order how they were supposed to be, like the ones that came out on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all in order. Try to finish them off as soon as possible. Those are a priority. But however, we do have another road to Sakura Genesis. I will do that too. I'll make that as a top priority. I'm still waiting for the Stardom World to be uploaded. We do have 2 events that took place recently. I'm excited for those 2. We'll just see what happens then. So I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.